I remember.
It sounded. Excuses. I'm Curious Girl, and I am 9. I am the sauce underscore, and I am 11
Underscore the data bytes. 41.
I'm Lady Disdain, and I'm 43 years old.
This is UnpauseIt, a podcast by a family of geeks. Wow.
Yeah.
Our apologies for not staying quite on schedule for this episode of this podcast as a special recording because someone in this family, namely me, had to travel over the weekend, which is when we usually record these. So that's why we're airing this podcast now. It was Fort Worth. It was also, I guess they had a stock show going on the other side of town. So I probably saw maybe 10 cars the entire time. It was really kind of ghostly and weird.
Well, that's good. That means that you don't have to talk to people. You can just stand there.
You mean 10 active cars.
And stare at houses that are empty.
Like, I had no problem jaywalking. Jaywalking was not even an issue. It was like, wow, there's no cars here. There are no cars.
If the police are going to watch this, you better let it right away.
Please? It's all good.
Wait, so it's like you're jaywalking, you walk to the middle of the stoplight, a little square thing.
Mm-hmm. Do the sprinkler?
Yeah, the old style fashion dance. That's like...
I believe you guys, I think we've seen this movie twice now.
In the last couple weeks.
Furious Girl, take it away.
Hi. Iron Man 3. Okay, introduction going that way.
Which way are you pointing?
You have to say the person's name.
Toward
Willis thing.
the sauce.
So, I am chicken sauce underscore.
You're not chicken sauce. You're the sauce.
That's the sauce.
Oh, yeah.
I am Lady Disdain with a Y on Twitter, and I'm the mother unit.
No, you're not.
Wow.
You're the father unit.
No, that would
I
be
am. That's underscore the data bytes. He's turning into Walter.
I feel like I drunk.
Brother
You know what we
unit.
need to do is come up with a unit for the cat. We need to come up with a handle.
Stupid unit.
No.
Third unit. Done.
Yeah, maybe. All right, Furious Girl. Was Iron Man 3. This came out May 3rd, 2013.
Yes.
Probably somewhere around midnight on a Thursday on May 2nd, actually. Very normal Marvel movie time, starring Robert Downey Jr., Gwyneth Paltrow, Don Cheadle, Guy Pearce, Rebecca Hall as Maya Hansen, Jon Favreau, Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery. He's listed as Trevor Slattery in his credits, not the Mandarin. Mm-hmm. There is an end credit scene in Thor that kind of explains that. We got Paul Bettany as Jarvis, and William Sadler, one of my favorite actors, as President Ellis.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And if you notice William Sadler in every single one of the movies, if you look at his shoes, he wears very large platform shoes. I'm pretty sure he is 3'7".
He's Peter Dinklage.
He's not Peter Dinklage, but he is very short, but he plays these big characters, so they always give him a little higher place to stand on. Just awesome. Like Tom Cruise, who's not so high in stature. They always, edit it that way. A good cast. Great cast if you really consider Ben Kingsley and Guy Pearce on their acting prowess, and let alone Don Cheadle and Robert Downey Jr.
Right?
Stacked
cast for sure.
Stacked.
Okay, weaknesses. Go. Willis.
Weaknesses. Didn't write anything down, so I guess this is my answer. Blank. On to Mom.
I believe he's got, and it's kind of vulnerability too. He's got PTSD. He's dealing with the aftermath of being sucked in the wormhole, almost dying in the incident in New York. So he's got anxiety attacks.
Dun.
He's having them. And what about you, Data Bites?
Well, that's what I put down, PTSD. And one of the things is he has this anxiety attack, right? He gets attacked in the movies.
By anxiety.
No, and he ends up in Tennessee, which is one of the best parts of that because he has this interaction with that kid, 11 years old.
Harley.
His name.
Yeah, Harley. Really good interaction. They had a connection. But he ends up there and his suit fails because it had been so damaged and not really battle ready yet. So he had no suit when he went after the Mandarin. So we got to see him kind of like back in the cave. You had mentioned, someone had mentioned that he was back in the cave again with just scraps, building
And
his
brains.
weapons, and he did it.
That's right.
What about you, Furious Girl? What were your weaknesses that you put down?
I didn't put down any, so and the same answer as Willis. Blank. Vulnerabilities. I go first. Nightmares.
You did have a lot of nightmares. That's from the PTSD.
Well, he had and part of that, so leading into that, one of his vulnerabilities is that he can't stop making suits. He's letting those, and maybe that, whatever, weakness or vulnerability, he's letting those distract him from everything. But it's basically him trying to cope with the fact that he feels very powerless and uncertain after the incident. And so now he's trying to, he even says it, he's like, I need to protect the one thing I care about, which is Pepper. So he's built like, what, 42? How many suits did he build?
42.
Wait, no, probably more, because those are just prototypes. He finalized the project. So
Well, the Mark 42 is ones that he had built. And do you really think that he has to go through a prototyping stage? He is Tony Stark.
Well,
So this doesn't count the first
Jarvis
5.
wishes he would.
No, remember Mark 42? It's the prototype. He did go through a prototype.
But everything else before that was fully actualized.
How about you? Any vulnerabilities?
We're going to talk about that. We're talking about his Pepper, you know, his humanness, if you will, his also his past.
Yeah.
The movie is about his past coming back to him. We're going to get into villains, I think, next, right? Furious Girl?
Yeah, and I could go in first.
Well, then go.
Roll.
Mandarin, the fruit.
He is a fruit. By the time you realize what he's like, you're like, wow, you are fruity and loopy.
Yeah, Sir Ben Kingsley, for sure.
Yeah.
Dad, because he's always going last.
The enemy in this one is touted as the Mandarin, and it pissed off a lot of fanboys.
Why?
Because it wasn't the Mandarin from the comics. They thought it was making fun of the Mandarin in the comics. I guess the Mandarin in the comics is really dark, sinister crime lord. But you have to flesh that out in, say, a Netflix movie, in a Netflix series.
Yeah.
Like Kingpin is in the Daredevil series. But it's still a strong enemy because his enemy is his past. And he talks about that at the beginning in the monologue that we hear from Tony Stark. He created demons, and it's a flashback to the 90s where someone's wearing, Happy's wearing a mullet, and it's got some crazy 90s music going on. It's pretty crazy.
So what I was gonna say is villains are demons, but also Tony. Tony created demons.
Right, that
Tony,
was his past.
Yeah, so Tony did that.
Which I think that really does lend to why I think this is my favorite Iron Man movie, because the maturity of having that introspection of saying, wow, I was kind of a jerk. And because of that, look what I've created. There are consequences to my behavior. And that brought him there. Can I mention that the other big villain, like the villain of this movie, is Aldrich Killian?
Right.
That is the Mandarin.
Yeah,
the
we're not
fruit.
really doing spoilers because this is out. But
Well, yeah, since we're so late, we didn't really go through who was in this movie. Robert Downey Jr., of course, is Tony Stark. Gwyneth Paltrow returns as Pepper Potts. Return
we
of Don
did.
Cheadle. But Guy Pearce, introduction as Aldrin Killian, amazing actor. Going on a different movie when he was with Colin Firth in the King's Speech, and Colin Firth had a quote, he was out Britishing me.
which, yeah, isn't he? He's New Zealand, isn't he? Or Australia?
Guy Pearce?
Yeah.
Pretty sure he's born in New Jersey.
All right, I'm pretty sure he's Australian, but you can look that up on your magic. Your turn.
Since Dad magically moved on to movie specs or whatever you like to call it, technical, whatever.
I guess he is British.
Major battles, known as most of the movie.
One of my favorite major battles is Tony's house. So he's thrown the gauntlet down. He is told, he's broadcast on television in interviews that he, hey, here's my address. Come face me like a Mandarin. Well, he doesn't, because Mandarin comes in with 3 loaded helicopters and starts blasting his house to pieces. I really like that battle, which Tony loses, by the way.
Not really.
Which leads him to go to Tennessee.
He doesn't die. That's the only way he doesn't
Does
lose.
not win that battle.
He doesn't win it. They basically destroy his house. Pepper thinks he's dead. The world thinks he's dead. And Jarvis rescues him. Without Jarvis controlling that suit, he would not have made it out of there. So I really like that whole premise. It was a good battle scene. And Willis, how about you, the Sauce? What was one of your major battles?
I'm just gonna point out the big major battle that everyone seems to remember. It's usually the final battle.
With all of the iron
Like,
suits.
House Party Protocol. That also follows into Ultron,
Right. Save that thought for when we get down to like favorite scenes and everything, for sure.
Yeah, so
we want to talk about that.
basically what happens in that scene is you take a bunch of demons and put them up against a bunch of Iron Man suits full of Jarvis.
Full of Jarvis.
And extremists.
And jelly.
Right.
I agree.
That's a really
with
good point, Willis. It's all of these extremists versus all of these Jarvis. That's very smart. I hadn't even thought about that
Oh,
way.
and then Aldrich Killian and Tony Stark didn't beat Aldrich Killian. It was Pepper.
That's right. Pepper Dome beat him. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Then they got
That came out of left field. You see her fall into the fire, and then all of a sudden she's whooping people. She rips an Iron Man suit in half.
Yeah.
What?
Well, it was
Yeah.
already dead, kind of.
Kind of interesting. It's alright. So Pepper, I was really disappointed to learn that she lost the power. She got rid
Or
of it.
does she? Does she lose it all? Is she in Infinity War in a suit because she has a little bit of that extremis left in her?
Oh, a rescue, right?
Maybe that's like her thing from the comics.
What?
This is something to add on or whatever from the Wii game, Marvel, DC Superheroes, whatever it's called or something, has the suits that's for the Iron Man section dot thing. And it has Pepper Potts in a suit. Looks like Pepper Potts. And it has hearts and flowers coming out of
Yeah, she plays the rescue or something
Yeah.
like that.
No, I think that's a good point that we don't know. And by the way, let's look at that too, because in the story of this movie, what's it? Maya? Is it Mia? Maya, which is oddly your short name. But the girl Maya, who's the quote unquote botanist, but actually the geneticist, she is not able to on her own refine her own formula. Tony can do it when he's hungover. Did it 20 years ago or 13 years ago.
When he was
Probably
drunk.
still drunk.
When he was
actually.
drunk.
And he didn't and he wasn't fully in all his
faculties, right?
Yeah, like not even hardcore.
So does it not follow that perhaps when he's, he says he fixes Pepper right up, is it not possible he could have perfected it and been like, you know what? And again, he's got PTSD and is scared for her. What if I'm just really curious to follow the thought, but like, what if he's like, I'm going to leave you a little extremist. It's stable now. He could stabilize it because he's Tony Stark.
But she hasn't had an injury, so...
Right, so we don't know.
Right. So getting into this Infinity War discussion that the Sauce brought up, the word out there is that something gigantic happens in the first 5 minutes.
Yes, someone dies, right?
Is it Pepper? But then later on, we find that the extremist comes back and she's not really dead.
Ooh.
Or is it, or like people have said, do they use the stones, probably like Soul Stone, and then the Reality Stone to like bring the body back to life?
Right.
Do they use that to?
They might.
I feel like it's Tony Stark just for some reason.
You just feel that way?
I just feel it.
I agree with you. I do too.
Because he's
Right.
had enough movies.
And he has talked about the ending of this movie and the end credits of it is kind of an homage to the first 3 Ironmans. Because it was kind of unclear if he was really going to return as the role or just be like a cameo style role or something. But he did return, paid him a buttload of money.
Yep.
Did they use the Infinity Stones, Reality Stones, and then all of a suddenly it's a different actor?
Whoa, that'd be weird.
They use
I wouldn't like that.
all those Infinity Stones to recast everything.
Anyway, but going back to major battles, what was yours?
The missile attack on the house is the best end battle for an Iron Man movie, for sure. The end battle is pretty good. We get to see Rhodey
Yeah.
without a suit. Rhodey. Marksman doing his thing. So he's a trained warrior. He's a soldier. So when you enhance him with a suit, he's pretty good. We see Guy Pearce like being very strong. It's kind of hinted at, but he's got the most of the extremis. Like he was able to work it and
breathing fire.
Right, breathing fire, things like that.
And it's not like spread fire like flamethrowers. It's just a solid flame fire,
Right.
which must have meant it was moving really fast.
Any other major battles? Curious
I
girl.
don't really think so.
What about Tony breaking out? Remember, he's like doing this thing. He was like, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He's like, and he's trying to attract his.
That's not a battle because it's just like, hi.
Okay.
Well, what about your favorite scenes? That's right next, right?
Yes, favorite sneezes. Favorite sneeze. I'm going with the scene where they're Tony and Rhodey, whatever his name is, are interrogating Trevor. And on the first one, he falls asleep.
You should know that.
I'm gonna blow her first.
And
If you don't tell him what you want to know, he's going to keep doing this.
for when Rhodey is interrogating Trevor, he's like, ole, 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 ole.
Yeah, for when there was a score in the soccer match.
So silly.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out that the first time they were interrogating
Trevor.
Trevor wasn't it. Oh yeah, it was bonus features.
I think.
The Agent Carter bonus feature where Howard Stark has that phone. Yeah,
right.
and
So
then
they
we
used
see
the same prop in the scene in there. So that's when he was calling and saying, and the
Gotcha.
Agent Carter special feature on this one that kind of like introduced the Agent Carter TV show because it came out around the same time. I think I don't have any like one real favorite scene. I think the weakest parts are really any time that bad guy, Savin, he's always chewing the gum.
Oh, the obnoxious bald guy.
He did it really well.
Yeah, he just looks like, I don't care. I got swagger.
No, he looks
a
like he's like
Yeah.
he looks like he's full of himself.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, but
he nails it.
he does. But he so full of himself, he doesn't quite realize that he's not as powerful as Killian.
Yeah, he's
Right.
He's kind of a jerk.
Yeah, that's why he tried to take on the Iron Man suit 1-on-1. Then that was literally a mini arc reactor blast through the heart.
It was. But I think the favorite scene was where right after he gets it through the heart, like you just said, when Iron Man is flying through the air trying to catch 11?
13.
Yeah, 13.
How many can he carry? 4, sir. And so he does it, and they all survive. You're just like, whoa, it's
That
intense.
was
This is so
really
not
well
real.
done.
I can't even get into this one, but it's so good. You know, so that's one of my favorite scenes. The end scene is one of my favorite scenes. The Pepper with the extremists blasting Killian was very good.
My favorite scene, and it's just a blip. I like after Tony, he crash lands in Tennessee. He's like just wrecked up, and he's like, "Let me out of the suit." And Jarvis is kind of like, "Oh, I'm starting to fade out." And he gets out of the suit. Oh, that's brisk. He wants to get back in, but Jarvis kind of fizzles out. He's out of power,
Yeah.
and he's like, and I do love that moment where he's like, Jarvis, he's like, "Don't leave me, buddy." So he's alone. He's alone right in that moment. And I love the image. And as they use this in the trailer, when you see him in the dark, all you can see is his chest piece glowing, and he's he's sledding his suit behind him.
Yeah.
I love that. That scene is so poignant to me because it's like he is by himself. He's on his own power. It's down to him.
What about the jump scare? Isn't that your favorite scene?
No! Oh my gosh. So, those of you who've seen this, where, again, another battle scene is in Tennessee where Tony runs into one of the extremist women. Brent, yeah, in the bar. And she's, she just starts going ballistic because that's what they do. They go ballistic. Their little tempers flare up and they start just acting all superhero-y. And she's shooting at him and he's hiding in that one store. And you see her walking and then you see Tony and he's moving. All of a sudden his face and her face are right there. And every single time I see this movie for the first time again, I'm like, total jump scare.
I actually remember this now. One time, we were watching it downstairs.
This movie specifically.
Me and Jordan were sitting on the floor. I think we were eating pizza or something.
Okay.
But then we saw that scene, the Iron Man, and I was sitting right by Mom's legs, and
And she kicked you out.
Hey, Furious Girl, can we talk? Is now an appropriate time to circle back to just ways that this movie kind of points toward Ultron?
Because we are in the favorite scenes. Yes.
Is that okay?
What exactly?
So I want to point out, when Aldrich Killian, we're in present day, and he comes to meet Pepper, Pepper is expecting him to be goofy and silly. Oh, he used to ask me out. But he's not. He's all dapper and, masculine and looks all like he's healthy and whatever. So the part where he puts the little thing behind his ear and he puts the marbles out, actually, both those kind of, to me, point toward future things. So first you see this image of space, which looks very much like space we're used to seeing.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. But then it shows his brain. And to me, I immediately was like, oh, that's like in Ultron when they see the AI brain. When they're
It wasn't a brain. It was just.
It was his brain patterns, is what it was. It was his electrical patterns.
Yes, but it wasn't exactly his brain.
right, but the image looked like it.
The image was.
And it becomes Ultron's brain. And what does Bruce Banner say? He's like, what does it look like to you? Like it's thinking. And to me, I'm like, I saw that movement in this, or this brain movement in this movie. I'm like, oh, right there,
Right there.
Brain.
Also, to go on this that you were talking about, leading into Ultron, calling out Christian Harloff on Collider.com. Find his Twitter. We're going to put it out there. Hashtag him. This is the most MCU movie so far as the Phase 2 starting. It is absolutely an MCU movie. He says it's a Shane Black good movie, but not an MCU movie with no evidence. Here's evidence why it is a great MCU movie. That right there.
Yeah.
The Ultron brain evidence. And it takes Banner, moments? Oh, that's a brain. Yeah, because he's brilliant. Another thing was something that the sauce pointed out.
At the end.
The sauce underscore.
The sauce
Yes,
underscore.
exactly.
Underscore. Okay. He is the underscore.
Yeah, so
Right.
this points out like the future of Ultron, the army of Ultron.
Those
Yeah, the
those
drones.
Iron Man drones that were before even Ultron. Tony had was it Iron Legion or whatever it was?
Sure.
Like, please help. We're here to help you. And they were like kind of trying to block off the civilians while they were fighting in Sokovia.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those.
Say.
Yeah, it's also Star Drone, but it's also Start the Hulkbuster, because I'm pretty sure Tony designed.
He did design the whole bunch. You're talking about Veronica.
No, I'm talking about the other one that's not Veronica. That
Oh,
was
the one that was in this movie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he designed that off of Hulk, and I was just stuttering.
You're a big
You mentioned that while watching it. Like, that's just like the Hulk as he blasts
It's
through a
Veronica.
bunch of things.
No, you mentioned that.
I agreed with you, but you mentioned it.
Oh,
What? No.
No.
Other things that could possibly lead into other MCU movies.
One last thing about that is the fact, and this totally points to Ultron, Jarvis has a far bigger role in this movie. From the moment
Right.
where, you see, obviously he's helping in the normal capacity that he does. He's helping Tony in his workshop. Well, then Tony's house gets blown to bits. He is down under the water. It is not looking good, and Jarvis takes over. Jarvis takes over, says, "Take a deep breath, sir," and he takes off the mitt, goes down and pulls him out, gets him back on, and then he flies him to Tennessee. And
Because there was a flight pattern established in an earlier
he
scene.
took care of it.
Pass.
He took care of it. And then you do see again pointing toward the Legion or the Ultron army, but the fact that it's a Jarvis army at the very end. But that's where I'm like, I feel like Jarvis he got more ownership in that movie, which then
Paul Bettany
leads
did a great
forward
job in
into why he becomes an actual entity.
That is another premonition of why this is a great MCU movie.
I agree, exactly. And so anyone who has seen the movies, anyone who's seen Age of Ultron, and I encourage you to go back and watch this one. Go back and watch Iron Man 3, and it was like a light bulb went off, and I'm like, oh, that's totally what Jarvis is he's gonna become Vision. And you're like, So it really does. It jumped out to me in several ways that this
Right.
is like, wow, this is just a harbinger of the things to come.
Totally.
Cameos, right?
The Stanley cameo.
Yeah. I go first.
Bring it.
0.5.
Out of 10,
It was mere moments, second if
I think it was a second.
Wait, what was it?
It was he was
The
at the
beauty
pageant.
pageant, and he was holding up a 10 for the.
He's an old creepy guy holding up a 10.
I remember this guy.
Yeah,
Pretty
Yeah.
old soul.
it's not very memorable, frankly.
So, yeah.
I said meh.
Yeah,
I think
it's not-
what we're learning here is that the Iron Man franchise, whether it be directed by Jon Favreau or Shane Black, have the absolute worst Stanley cameos. Mm-hmm. So
Agreed.
maybe if we have an Iron Man 4, he's in it for like 20 minutes and we get a really good one.
Well, yeah, now that they've kind of indicated that in a later movie that he's got a bit of a more linear role
Oh, we won't get into that one.
We don't have to get into that anyway. But yeah, I didn't like it either. It wasn't the best cameo at all.
Yeah, it was just, it was there.
Okay, half-hour screen time. Go.
Probably all of them. Go.
Probably homework.
Nah.
Because half-hour screen time is kind of on pause, and we will only unpause it when your grades are up.
Bummer.
It happens.
It does
happen.
happen.
Everybody.
Happens to everybody.
Homework.
That's you. Oh, you have a big project due this week, aren't you?
Well,
On Friday.
yeah,
so I'm
yeah, we
safe.
got time.
She's been working on it pretty hard.
You don't want to be like Brian Regan, where he's like, you wake up in the morning and head pops up with a pillow. Oh no, science fair today. Cup of dirt.
Hey.
Okay, got a plastic cup, got a piece of dirt, put the dirt in it.
I know for a fact that Miss Yu, our science teacher, has seen it. So along with my science project, I'm going to bring a cup of dirt.
She will laugh so hard.
I gotta make sure it's a paper cup of dirt, like
Yeah, like
totally.
a styrofoam cup.
Totally.
I can bring home one. I can bring a styrofoam
Hurry up,
cup home.
hurry. When you go to whatever you go to.
What's your half-hour screen time or whatever you do?
Me?
Yeah.
Sleep.
That is not on a screen. It's probably that.
No, it's definitely sleep.
It's
Busy.
imaginary.
It's a busy time for me at work. So,
Wait, that's electronic, so it was probably your phone.
Okay. It is time.
Well,
Georgia?
she decides.
Yeah.
Please. May we please do the
Dad-
overall rating?
okay.
Ugh.
So let's do end credit scenes first.
Okay,
How about that?
6 out of 10. Go
Wait,
with us.
what is the end credit
end
scene?
credit scene?
That's what I'm doing.
Do you remember?
Oh, so it's 6 out of 10 for the end credit scene.
Yes.
So as a reminder,
We're talking about what it is. We don't know what it is.
end credit scene is when you see that Tony, he narrates the beginning of the movie, he narrates the end of the movie, and you see that he's narrated this movie or this story to Bruce Banner.
In a therapy session, and Bruce has fallen asleep the whole thing.
Understandably.
Since Switzerland, and that's
In
only
the very
like,
beginning.
Right?
that's
Right.
only like 10 minutes.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
that. If that. 5 minutes, maybe even.
So
6.
it's also a meh for me. I mean, I'm comparing this off of
It
other
was,
one. It's
it
not
was
that
funny.
Good. It's not.
But it didn't really advance any story.
Yeah.
It didn't lead us into the next movie, if you will. It just let us know that Banner's around and he's friends with Tony. That's really all it did.
I give it an 8 out of 10 because it was satisfying. You do get the notion that this could be the last Iron Man movie of its own. So I felt like completing it like that was fine. I also really do like the fact that they're buds, and I like Bruce Banner was like, I'm not this kind of doctor, okay?
Yeah, right.
Like, dude.
And Mark Ruffalo plays that so well.
Yeah.
I don't have the right kind of.
If I was gonna rate the end credit scene, I'd probably give it like you a 6, 7 or so. It wasn't like mind shattering, but it was worth the wait. As the credits are going, we could talk about, oh, I like the Mandarin. Oh, I hated the Mandarin. Oh, this isn't very good. Oh, that's excellent.
3 gold stars.
Right. And then he shows up and like, oh, that was It was satisfying.
Yeah,
it wasn't
satisfying.
bad. It wasn't like the Avengers
It wasn't,
trailer at the end of Captain America, which was just a trailer.
That was
just
lame.
bad. That's still the worst one so far.
Okay, overall rating to the sandwich thingies.
What's the rating?
Oh, the tuna sandwiches?
Tuna sandwiches? Nice.
Nice.
job,
Okay, let me
Georgia.
read this. Tuna sandwiches
And fingers.
What?
Like, when he breaks his finger off of Iron Man?
Where,
Oh,
where
Harley.
Harley breaks the finger off of Mark 42 and he's like, oh, can you hear that? I'm still waiting for my sandwich or whatever he says. It was
That's
so
very
funny.
good, Georgia.
Good one.
So what'd you give
So
it?
what is your rating?
9.5, not exactly 10. I'm saving the 10 for
Other movies.
many Marvel
Other
movies away called my favorites.
So you like this movie, 9.5. Nice.
My
Yeah.
favorite is Doctor Strange. Spoiler alert for George's life.
He's probably accurate, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
Around that kind of.
who's next?
Okay.
Dad.
I give it 8 out of 10 tuna sandwiches and broken fingers off of Mark 42.
That's not what they're called. They're just called
It
fingers.
is definitely the best Iron Man movie. But I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's rewatchable immensely, though.
Yes.
Iron Man 2 is not rewatchable. Iron Man 1 is rewatchable, except for the casting change.
Well, you already rewatched it, so I think
A few times, but we've watched it several times. But
we're
Iron Man
supposed
3 we watched 2 weeks ago. We watched it again, and we weren't really bored. It was
Yeah.
good.
Still very good.
All right, Sauce.
I give it 7 to 8 out of 10, somewhere in between.
What
those
about
two.
7.5?
We'll say 7.5 on that one for you.
I need a solid number.
7.49.
Okay,
7.49.
7.49. How exact of you?
Closer to 7 than 8.
Probably. That's like math.
That you are not getting your homework done in.
Yes, I am.
The internet now knows this.
I just did that. I could
Those of you who would like to help the sauce
Mom,
with
I
his
just
math
haven't turned
homework,
Edit out this
please write
entire
P.O. Box
entire
1343, Englewood,
Edit out
Colorado
everything.
80150.
She just gave out the address so people can send you letters on how to get your homework done.
Yes, send some encouragement. If you have it, if your kid is also not so much turning his math homework in,
Okay,
you got a buddy.
No.
No addresses. I'm interrupting you.
You got a buddy.
Mike will never hear you.
Can I give my ratings?
Yes.
Maybe.
Because you know what? I may be the only person in this house that actually likes tuna fish sandwiches.
Yes.
Ew.
They're good.
She is the only person in this house that will eat a
That's
tuna
fine.
fish sandwich.
I give this movie 8.75. It's really good. I as all the points that you mentioned, it's my favorite Iron Man movie. It's well done. It's a good piece of work. I like it. I like it a lot.
8 tuna fish sandwiches, though, would kill me.
I don't want 8 tuna fish sandwiches. No. How about like 1 tuna fish sandwich and 7.75 fingers?
Oh, you don't want that. You don't want to be like an octopus with many fingers on it.
Oh, that's pretty funny. We're going to go on to the last part of everything, right?
Yes.
Which
I
is
think-
The text specs and box. We never...
Oh, yeah.
Yes, but before that, I have something to say.
Say.
Favorite characters. I told you to write this down.
Oh.
But you didn't listen, did you?
No, we did not. Go.
But let's think of these. Yeah.
My name's Trevor, Maya, and Harley. Done.
Okay. Trevor Slattery. That was very well done. Ben Kingsley. One of the best actors around.
In the universe of universes.
And hilarious for the Furious Girl.
Yay.
So Trevor.
You definitely like Trevor
he's
Slattery,
like-
huh?
Yeah, and at the end he's like, "Hello, good to see you." Yeah.
I think you like him because he says, "Wouldn't go in there for 20 minutes." The bathroom.
But
Yeah.
then they got there.
So one of his best scenes.
And he falls asleep. Yeah.
In the middle of his sentence,
Did you note off? Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, and then and then starts like kicks.
Oh, probably drugs. They help you get off them? No, they give me more.
Okay, basically.
All right, who's next? I'm going with Jarvis on this one.
Jarvis.
He does the most. I think he does a ton of character development in there, more than Tony even. And completely, I love Jarvis. I think they make him so you love him, and because they had to build on that, because it becomes way more important once you hit Age of Ultron.
Oh no.
So I really like him.
Yeah, my favorite character is Harley with his interactions with Tony.
It's great.
He holds his own and he's like, trying to get guilt. He's like, are you guilt tripping me? I'm cool. And he's like, I know, because we're so connected. He takes off. He's like, worth a try. He's like, so he is Tony.
And
You know how
which
I know?
Harley is the only one in this movie that is able to talk Tony down from an anxiety attack.
Right. So it made opening weekend $174 million.
Okay, that's respectable.
A big letdown from Avengers.
Yeah. Wow.
There's no Hulk in it. There's no Captain America in
No
it.
Hulk Ragdoll in it.
Right. It only made $409 million in the United States. That's more than the other Iron Mans. I can't really know.
Pokemon.
But worldwide, it made $1.2 billion.
That is very respectable.
Slightly less than The Last Jedi that just came out, since we're doing this, kind of post podcast
Sure.
here. But bit less than Age of Ultron. But still, it made $805 million in the worldwide box office.
Nice.
And the key is it made $121 million in China. Why?
Mandarin?
I don't think that. No, because
I don't know.
I don't know.
I got nothing. I don't know.
The Chinese are very enigmatic in their movie going. World of Warcraft made like $300 million in China. Okay,
Right.
but it made good money in United Kingdom and other small markets like South Korea. So it made a lot of money overseas.
Mm-hmm.
It appealed to a broader audience, which is
Right.
good. And $400 million is nothing to sneeze at in America. So it made all its money. All that foreign money is nothing but profit to Disney.
Yes.
So that's the box office. It did well.
So very good. Thank you guys for joining us. And
Yes, thank you for listening to our post-dinner, late night, last-minute
Yeah.
work schedules get in the way podcast.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, and visit us at unpauseit.com.